be that long.
Greetings and welcome to Spin a Yarn Live, the Tea Time Book Club and Crafting Circle. The channel where I will never finish this bookmark.
I'll soon finish my scarf. I've got it in 2 bits. So I've got it in 2 bits because the way the lace works is there's a definite up and down to it. So like this is up, this is upside down. So what you can do, what I'm trying to do here, is I'll make 2 bits and then I'll graft them together so that when it's around your neck, it'll always have, you know, both sides will have the eyes facing up. Obviously, I'm going to have to block it because it keeps curling in on itself, and that's not very pretty. But I'll block it, and it should be fine. My worry is, I hope I have enough thread left so that the second half will be the same length. I'm doing my 16 row pattern here, which I didn't say before. The pattern is by Tony M. Maddox. Wrote the pattern. It's free pattern to download offline. I think I got it on Ravelry.com. Anywho, so I'm doing 26, or this one I should say is 26 of the 16 rows. That's how long this one is. I hope I have enough thread to at least get close. If I can get 25, I'll be happy. If I get 24, I'll be happy. So hopefully...
How many are you through so far?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13. About halfway through 14. A little more than halfway through 14. A little less than halfway through 14, I mean. So...
Okay, so... today we'll be talking about One Piece.
Because One Piece is awesome!
It's true.
Oda-sensei, you demand.
We're going to start off plugging the things.
Don't know how to say that in Japanese.
No. You can go...
Sugoi desu yo! That's all I got.
You can interact with the channel by going to Twitter using the hashtag YarnItAll, which is the bookmark I'm making. I have one more L to go. And you can also interact with our channel by going to Reddit to r/spinayarnlive. We've made a change to that subreddit. You can no longer make actual posts, but for each episode there will be a discussion thread, and then if you comment inside of that discussion thread, that's just going to work better and keep it all organized and let people comment more often than not, because new users of Reddit cannot create posts too often because Reddit's afraid of spam. But comments, I think, are better. So yes, go on to either of those 2 places. Twitter, hashtag YarnItAll, Reddit r/spinayarnlive, and post what you're currently working on for this episode. We've already kind of discussed ours.
Yeah.
But tell us what tea we're drinking today.
So today we are drinking a tea that we've actually had for a while, but I'm not sure if we've tried. This is, we love to go to Disney World for our anniversary. We'd like to go every year, but that doesn't happen. Do you not like it, baby?
It's hot.
It's very hot. So this is the Mad Tea Party Blend.
No.
I don't have any tea. But, so it's a Mad Tea Party Blend, and it is black tea with ginger, peach, and apricot. And it's quite nice, which is why I don't have any milk to go with it, because since it's got citrus in it. But yeah, apricot and peach are, boy, they're fruity. They're not really citrusy, but milk doesn't tend to go very well with flavors like that, even though the base is a black tea. But yeah, it's really light. I really like it a lot. Hopefully it'll actually help my throat. My throat's been a little not so great lately, so.
My throat has been surprisingly well because I've also been doing a gaming channel 4 days a week.
Yeah. So hopefully tomorrow when I do mine, my voice won't give out halfway through.
Hopefully.
I'm hopeful that it won't. But you know, I mean, I work in a corporate office and there are things going around and
somebody actually.
All of my not all of, but a good portion of the bankers there have kids, of course. So you know, there's and their little petri dishes of death and disease. No. But so yeah, so hopefully my throat will be okay. It's been a little spotty the last couple days. We'll see what happens. Since I'm a big tea drinker, I'm hoping it'll be okay. These probably won't help. My delicious treats from Sweet Hut. If you're in the, I don't know if Sweet Hut exists very much outside. It's got to exist outside of Georgia. I can't imagine it doesn't. But if you haven't been to a Sweet Hut and there's one near your town, you should go because it has delicious, wonderful things. Not just pastries, you can also get like sandwiches and stuff. It's a cafe essentially, but they're kind of known for their sweets. Sweet Hut. So yes, there you go. Mm-hmm.
Okay. We got somebody in the live chat.
What's up?
And they spoke Max Manga apparently.
Well, we are reviewing manga today, so there you are.
They spoke French, and Google Translate says that they said hello and that they cannot stay. And now we're back down to one viewer.
Je regrette, je ne parle pas français. Je regrette.
Wow. Should I attempt?
No.
Oh.
I love my husband very, very much, but languages, he doesn't have a great ear for them. I'm actually half Spanish. My father is Cuban. So Paul will read like Spanish instructions on things just because his accent is so bad. I love you, but
it's so bad. It makes her so angry.
It's painful.
She chases me around to try and make me stop.
Which is why he does it, of course. Now, I'm sure my French accent was horrible. So if the monsieur who is just on logs back on and to listen to us again, je regrette. It was terrible.
Okay, so let's see if anybody has posted their project updates.
We're looking at you, Elaine.
I know. We have nobody in Reddit, nobody using hashtag. Huzzah! Okay.
That's right. So let's talk about, what is this,
third arc? The third arc, the Syrup Island arc.
They never once referred to it as Syrup Island within the actual thing, do they?
No.
They don't. What am I on? 10.
Okay, so in this
not episode.
Manga, we get Usopp. Here's a picture of him.
Get Usopp.
Okay, let's get this kind of close up here. Where's my... Oh, I have the wrong screen up. Ooh. Okay. So, yes, you had Luffy on the top in the red shirt. Zoro in the background with his green hair.
Red shirt.
Red shirt.
It's funny because he's not.
He's not. Even though he often gets knocked out first thing, and then we have all the rest of the people do things.
That's true.
And then he wakes up and
comes up to save us.
And of course Nami on the left-hand side, and then this big center of the thing pointing his finger, that's Usopp with the long nose. If you don't know, Usa in Japanese is a lie.
Sopsuke. You're lying.
Yeah. Usopp. And then
so he does, he lies.
It's also kind of reference to Aesop with the Aesop fables, the storyteller.
I never linked that before. There we are.
Yeah, so I was reading the fan translation and it linked and I was like, oh, yeah, I see that. So yeah, he's a liar.
He is.
But he comes right honestly. We get a traditional Oda Sensei arc where it starts off silly, it gets serious and epic, and then it ends like, or has a bit of a cry at the end. Because you learn somebody's backstory, and you're like, oh, that's Sensei, why? And then it's epic again with adventure. Moving on.
Yeah. And you know, I love Oda Sensei. I really do. I mean, his stories are absolutely fabulous. I love One Piece. I think it is a wonderful anime. I think it's a wonderful manga. But yes, you will laugh until you cry. And you will cry until you throw the manga across the room because you're just like, why? Why would you do this? You can't say I hate you because you don't, because, you know, Oda Sensei's awesome, but it's just...
Yeah, he does it really well.
He really, really does. Now...
And he gets you caring about characters you would not think you would care about, like, especially when we get to Frankie later on. You get to the point and you're like, you think he's just the worst, and then all of a sudden you're crying and you're like, no! Don't let bad things happen to this guy that I was really hating just a minute ago.
Yeah, and then you're just like... I mean, it's the same with everybody.
It is.
It really is. And that's what we absolutely love about it. But yeah, so this is a fun arc. I really like this arc.
So I know a lot of our viewers are here mainly for our books, and Manga's pushing it. Novel. Yeah. So just the very briefest rundown. We try not to do rundowns on this channel because if you watch our first episodes, and I've hidden Valerian, so nobody can see that. Don't worry, you don't want to see that episode.
It's a bad movie.
Maybe anybody who donates a certain amount to us, we might release it as a secret terrible prize. Anyways,
I'll give it to them.
It's terrible. Worst episode ever. First episode ever.
We didn't know what we were doing, okay?
Worst episode. So, anyways, our rundowns tend to go long, even when we're keeping it short. So I'm going to do a super short version, so no interruptions. We get to Syrup Island, and then we do things and we're gone. Okay, so... okay, that's too short. We meet Usopp, who runs through the town screaming, pirates are here, pirates are here. But he does that every morning, so, you know, the boy who cried pirates. He sees Luffy and the gang, they interact, start to get to know Usopp. And then we follow him, and he goes to basically, not a princess, but a high...
He goes to the daughter who's the daughter of the affluent people in town.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
so like
they are dead.
Yeah, one big, huge mansion over the town. They're the super rich ones. And she's the daughter. Her parents are dead. She has a butler.
My hands are sticking.
Well, a butler and then another, like, housekeeper.
It's like a manservant.
Yeah. And then, because Mary and
is kind of, Mary is kind of the manservant. Mary is more or less, if you would have to say that she had a ward, but I think the idea is she's too old. She's probably 16, 17 years old. So the idea is that in Japanese culture, she would be too old to really warrant a ward. So, to warrant a guardian, excuse me, she would be the guardian's ward.
So, ever since her parents died 3 years ago...
She's been depressed.
She's been depressed, she's been sickly, and couldn't really leave the bed.
Top you off?
Yes, please. So, Usopp would go outside of her window and tell her tall tales. Like, how he's a brave warrior of sea, he went up against this,
He found this giant goldfish, and he didn't even know how big the goldfish was, because he thought the goldfish's droppings were islands.
Yeah.
Because the droppings were so big.
So he tells, just really silly
Rude,
stories.
Silly,
and it lightens her spirit and whatnot. Of course, her, what did I just refer to him as?
Mary, her manservant?
No, the other one.
Oh, her butler.
Her butler, yes. Her butler disapproves of Usopp because it's a bad influence. Anyway, so we start to like Usopp, and then we find out that the butler has actually been playing a long con, a 3-year con on the entire town because he's actually a big bad pirate. And he already faked his death to the world, and now he's...
The pirate captain faked his death, and now he's going by a different name.
Yeah. That's Claw, whatever his name is. Captain Kuro.
Claw. I think his crewmates end up just calling him Claw, because he's like, don't call me Kuro! And they're like, what do we call him?
But yeah, so Captain Kuro faked his death, pretended to be someone down on his luck, basically got hired by this affluent family
to be the butler.
To be the butler, and he's been doing a good job and trying to make good impression for everyone. So his plan is to have his pirate crew come back after 3 years, now, and have his first mate, who is now the captain, who is a hypnotist.
He's not a very good one.
He's not a very good one.
I mean, he does hypnotize people, but he half the time hypnotizes himself.
It's so good. But, so he's having the hypnotist come hypnotize the daughter to have her create a will to say all of her possessions would go to Captain Kuro, basically, if she dies. And then during that, the rest of the pirate crew will sack the town and basically kill her, so that this guy gets all the money and everyone thinks he's a good guy, and now nobody's looking for him and he's rich. So that's his big plan. Luffy and the gang stop him. Okay. And we'll talk about that later on. And then afterwards, we find out why Usopp always lies, which I will mention later on. And then, they go on their merry way with Usopp, the new crew member. So that's the basic rundown. Took me 4 minutes to get through. Now we can actually start talking about it now that everybody knows what's going on.
More or less.
More or less.
So it's...
Sorry.
I'm trying to break him of this habit of saying
I know.
too often. Because it's not interesting to listen to, is it?
No.
I just said it. Anywho. So, it's a really fun arc to introduce this new crew member. And all the arcs that introduce new crew members tend to be very fun. Now, the next one, I will say, makes me cry more than this one. Even though Usopp's it is very sad. His father is a pirate. So the first, one of the first things we encounter after Luffy's talked to him for a while and then realizes, Usopp says, my dad's a great pirate and all this. Luffy goes, I thought you looked familiar. I've met your father, Yasopp, because he is the sniper on Shanks' crew. Which fits, because Usopp is a great shot.
Really
with
quick.
Here's
the hypnotist. So yes,
great.
Oda-sensei likes making funny people. And yeah, he walks backwards.
Oh my God.
And trips.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I really, really liked about this. And so this is the first time that I've gone through from the beginning reading the manga. I'm very familiar with the anime, but not so much with the manga. So what's really neat and what I really like is that at the beginning of, not each chapter, but at the beginning of almost all the chapters, Oda-sensei usually puts a little blurb of
just questions and answers.
Well, not questions and answers.
Sometimes.
Yeah, they're this, that, and the other. But this particular one, there are questions and answers. And there are a lot of things like, how old are the main characters? How old are Luffy, Zoro, Nami, and Shanks? And, Luffy's 17, Zoro's 19, Nami's 18. Shanks is currently missing, but 10 years ago, he was 27. So he's 37 now. You can do simple math.
What?
I know, right? So... And there's some really silly questions that, there's one that's very silly. There's someone who wrote in asking what Nami's measurements are. And so one of the things that I love about most writers, and they do this a lot, is the characters that they create for their novels or for whatever it is definitely have very distinctive personalities. And sometimes an author will put a character in a situation and they don't know how the character is going to react. But because of the personality, sometimes the character will react in a surprising manner that even the author is surprised about.
Yeah.
But all of the characters have very distinct and unique personalities. So the question... Nami's measurements, seriously, please tell me. And Oda-sensei is like, alright, so this is something I don't know, so I'll just go and measure her right now, alright? Let's see what happens. She proceeds to beat the author up.
Yeah, so Nami actually shows up.
Yeah, so my measurements, really? She says. And Oda-sensei's like, Nami, you surprised me, because she smacked him over the head or something. It's just text. But... And she's like, I don't mind giving you my measurements, but it'll cost you. And he's like, what? How much? I can't afford that. And, oh, she's distracted. Here's my chance. And he goes to try to take her measurements. She smacks him again because she uses a staff weapon. So she probably hits him on it because it's wonk. It's a sound effect that's used. And she's just like, oh, next time bring more money. Bye. Yeah. And he's like, well, I try. He says, dang it, foiled. But someday, I'll get her measurements. Wait for me, young man. I'll keep my promise. You know? It's just like, even Oda Sensei is terrified of his own character, which he would be. I mean, with Nami,
she's kind of terrifying.
She's horrifying.
And she's a money pincher.
She is.
Which, remember for later, that's part of the personality we get from her in these first books, is she's all about the treasure.
She's all about the treasure.
Everything comes at a price with her.
Mm-hmm. And it's not so much that she's a greedy bitch. I mean, she is. But there is a reason why she's gathering all of this money. And
it's another one of these, like everything in this series, it's another cry fest.
Oh my god.
Lots of laughs, lots of cries.
Oh, it's hilarious. But I don't think my roommate and I in college, we started watching this series because this was when it was on Toonami. It was either on Toonami or I don't think it was on Adult Swim. I'm pretty sure it was on Toonami when Cartoon Network was doing that. Like Saturday evenings, they pick and choose a few animes, including Naruto and Bleach and stuff like that. And we'd get to watch them. So she and I started watching it, and we started pulling the raw episodes because the translations that we were getting were terrible. The ones that were coming through when 4Kids Entertainment owned it. I believe we've gotten into 4Kids Entertainment, so I won't touch on it too much now, but they're horrible. Not realizing that it's not a children's series. So, anywho, when we got through Nami's arc, I mean, we were bawling.
Yeah.
It is heart-wrenching.
Anyways.
What happens. But, anywho. So, yeah, so we'll see why that is. But okay, so, assuming that everyone has read it, we're going off the assumption that people have read this. So
and I've given an update,
Right. So tell me, what was your favorite fighting move?
Ooh. Oh, I know what my fighting move. So, it's at the very end of the battle. Okay. Did you have one earlier in the series that you want to talk about? Oh. I just pull up a random page and we get this very beat up Usopp who is still serious about protecting his people. Mm-hmm. And you can also see, this is actually getting off point for a second. This page, you can see how serious Luffy is when he's seeing someone who's willing to put their life at risk to protect someone else or to protect their dream. And even like Zoro is a little confused because Usopp is liar, he's a bit of a coward, a self-professed coward and all this. And the fact that he's willing to stand up to someone way out of his league, just like, that just affirms to Luffy and Zoro that this is somebody who's going to be on our crew. And that's kind of what Luffy sees pirates being, as a family who cares and protects about each other's and pushes each other to their own goals. Mm-hmm. Whereas the big bad guy in this arc is all about using his crew as pawns, right, and ultimately sacrificing them all for his own plans.
Because remember, when Luffy was growing up on his island, whose name escapes me, he grew up around Shanks' crew, and they were very much a family. Now, a rowdy, mischievous family, to be sure, but Shanks is a good captain who cares for his crew as if they were his brothers and sons. You know, that they are his family. And Luffy, now, later, we figure out who raised Luffy. But as far as we can tell, he wasn't raised by his parents, by his mother or his father, which he wasn't.
No spoilers.
Sorry. So this is kind of the example that Luffy has as to what family is. Mm-hmm. Which is why in the fan translation that you're reading,
Yes.
Eventually, they say, we're no longer going to refer to them as crew members or try to translate this particular word in Nakama.
That was in Kaizoku fan subs for the anime.
Oh, it
that
was!
They did that.
It was. Okay, so...
Which are the best fan subs for early One Piece.
They are, which
I think
unfortunately
they
stopped.
400 episodes and they stopped or something.
They stopped after Enies Lobby.
Okay.
So they got a healthy way through, but unfortunately they stopped.
Yeah.
Which was really upsetting.
If you actually want to witness One Piece kind of as it's meant and you don't know Japanese, Kaizoku fan subs are the way to go because they explain why things have cultural significance.
Yes.
And they treat it seriously so
right.
that you get all of the fun and you get all of the tears, and it's so good.
It's great.
Anyway, so you were talking about Nakama.
Right. So eventually they, after a while, and I was rewatching it, and I have a few of their subbed episodes, and after a while they say, we're no longer going to try to translate this word. Like, they do a little kind of blurb before the episode starts. They're like, this is kind of the rough translation of the term Nakama. And the term Nakama doesn't really mean... It means more than friend.
Yeah,
it's your comrade in arms. It's your military brothers and sisters. It's more than just... Yeah. This is someone who's served by my side.
And it usually gets translated as friend because...
Right.
That's how it is, but...
Tomodachi is actually a Japanese word for friend.
Just friend, yeah.
But so Nakama is more than that. It's someone who you are so close to. They're not your blood relation, but they might as well be because you're so close to them. You love them as if they were your brother or your sister. So, not that I'm saying I don't do certain ships. There are ships to be had. Well,
there are plenty of ships to be had.
Well, I mean, there's only one that I really ship, and that's Oda Sensei's fault, and you know why. Oda, you know why. Anyway.
Okay. Anyways.
So that's something that I super love about the Kaizoku fan subs.
Yeah.
But so what was your favorite?
Okay.
Thing?
So
totally off topic.
Yeah, my favorite fight is the very ending hit.
Oh, the bell.
Yeah. So we get this lead up. Captain Kuro has this silent step ability where he kind of waves back and forth second and then just disappears. And he's moving so fast. He
would have known if they already read it.
Yes. Okay. But it moves so fast, he doesn't even know what he's seeing, and, cutting indiscriminately his crew, rocks, Luffy. Luffy gets hold of him and then just clutches onto him in this panel and then stretches his neck back and then does his Gumo Gumo bell, which is just a big headbutt. And the drawing here with Kuro's neck stretched beyond breaking point. It's mentioned in one of the question and answers that nobody in this world really cares much about killing other people so much as destroying their pride.
The pirates don't.
The pirates don't.
The Marines are a different story, but we'll get to them later.
It's also good because Usopp and the hypnotist are having a fight elsewhere at the same time. So there's this one page that on one side is Usopp doing his finishing blow against the hypnotist. Yes, please. And then Luffy doing his finishing shot against... sorry, too many against Captain Kuro. And that's, the end of the fight. That's actually the last page of that chapter. So yeah, that's mine. That's the first time we see his bell move, I believe.
It is the first time we see his bell move. What's great about Luffy is that, especially later, he starts developing different techniques.
Yeah.
But the question arises, when? Because mostly you see him goofing off or sleeping or eating or stuff like that. Yeah. Zoro you see constantly training.
Yes.
When he's on the ship. Luffy you don't see train, but I remember that there at one point he's going out to a fight and he goes, I got a new move that I want to try. And even his crewmates are going, when the hell was he practicing a new move? Yeah. When? Just like, what? But anywho, my favorite point is like right there next to it when the hypnotist is getting ready to kill Kaya, right? And Zoro's too far away to do anything. So he drops Usopp, who's bleeding and broken and all this jazz. And he's running towards the hypnotist. And the hypnotist is going to try to kill Kaya. The kids buy him a little bit more time. And he goes and the hypnotist is like, haha, you're too late. And Zoro's like, oh, am I? And he cuts down a branch. That's all he does. And then he goes, all right, there we go. And Usopp's like, excellent, I have a clear shot now.
Yeah.
So that's all that Zoro was doing. You think there's going to be this epic fight and everything. Zoro's just clearing the path. And it's really, really great because, and we'll say this many times, Zoro is the perfect first mate to have on this crew. He keeps Luffy in line when he needs to be in line, and he knows when he needs to help the other crewmates. Now, one of the crewmates who we get later on, he doesn't help that much because I don't really like him. But even here, you see him helping his other crewmates because he can't do it. He knows he can't do it, and he's not going to waste time and energy trying to do something that he knows is not going to work. He's too far away. Well, we've got our gunman who doesn't use a gun. He uses a
slingshot.
And he just chops the branch out of the way, and then you see Usopp smiling, going, now I have a clear shot.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, then you get that final shot that I already showed you of him taking out the hypnotist. It's, we've only been fighting with Usopp for like maybe between Zoro and Usopp actually doing stuff at the same time. Hardly at all. Hardly at all.
But that's what's great about Zoro is that he knows when
Go ahead.
Well, he knows when his particular skills as a swordsman. Obviously, there's a
market.
There's a minimum distance requirement.
Yeah.
You know, so if he's too far away, then either he needs to clear a path for Luffy, so Luffy can stretch and get there faster because he can since he's made of rubber, or he needs to present an opening for Nami, or he needs to present an opening for Usopp, and that's this is why I love Zoro. Not just because I love a guy with a sword, but...
So, additionally, for love of Zoro, earlier in the fight, Zoro is fighting somebody else with swords, and two of his swords get thrown to the side, so he's fighting one sword style.
Which he's not too familiar with.
Yeah, he's not too familiar with. So he's kind of holding his own, and Usopp has a chance to fire into combat. Now, if you've played D&D before, there's always a problem with firing into combat. You might hit a comrade.
Only fire.
But if Usopp was a character in D&D, he would not have that penalty. Right. And so he has a basically perfect aim, and the problem is, like, Zoro is fighting two people at once, I should say, with his one sword. And Zoro has time to react to this pebble or whatnot.
It's a pachinko.
Yeah, a little pachinko ball, which is their gambling, I don't know how to explain it. It's a little metal ball that it goes like back and forth in this machine, and then it has to land in one of those holes.
It's a random, it's a random thing. It goes down this vertical.
But that's basically Japan's version of slots.
Yeah.
So a little pachinko ball. And so Zoro has awareness of the battlefield, knows it's coming, knows that its aim is true, and realizes that if Usopp hits one of these people, they will turn their attention to Usopp and Nami, who are not as good fighters as Zoro is. So he moves and takes the pachinko ball to the back of his shoulder, which does create an opening, and he gets hurt a little bit.
He gets hurt. And Nami and Usopp are like, what? Because Nami says, why would you hit our own person? Yeah. And Usopp's like, I didn't. He moved into the way almost on purpose. He knew that he had a good shot.
And Nami figured that it was to protect them.
Right.
So Zoro already, in that one shot, knew how good Usopp was. So the very next time they were basically together, he did this plan to move a tree branch out of the way, and that's Zoro for you.
Yeah, it's so good. And, you know, it's hard to say who really, at this point in the manga, i.e. the current, not this, but where we currently are.
Yes.
It is really hard to say who the best fighter is.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say. And what's so great, and maybe it's because the manga is just so long and the anime's been going on for so long, it's still ongoing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because there's just been so much time, but how Usopp and Nami, who are the worst fighters, they're the first people to go run and hide, how they change.
Yeah.
And I know that's giving away a spoiler,
a little bit, but
that they'll
spoilers, our characters improve over time.
Right? It's amazing! but it's really hard because
don't give spoilers.
I can't.
Okay, so moving on. Yeah, so
moving swiftly onward.
We get this epic amount of teamwork, of competent fighting. Way better than, say, okay, I'm going to quote-unquote diss on, say, Dragon Ball Z, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it. So any fans of DBZ, I apologize. You probably have points that prove me wrong. But I feel like a lot of Dragon Ball Z is just pounding on each other or throwing energy beams at each other. And there's not much
it seems to be a lot of
strategy.
one-on-one.
There's not as much teamwork. Well, I mean, there's teamwork. But in One Piece, you can feel the teamwork as you're reading it. And that's one of the most amazing things about Oda Sensei, is you get to know the characters better when they're doing the fights, when they're doing comedy, and of course when they're doing their sad moments. Right. Like, everything you see these characters do, you're learning more about them. Mm-hmm. If you're willing to give them a shot, which, with the 4Kids dubs, I'm going to mention just quickly, when I was younger, I started watching One Piece, and it was 4Kids, and I couldn't get into it. It was just so stupid and silly, and there was just... It was fluff.
There was a guy with a lollipop in his mouth all the time!
And then, later, when I actually watched legit One Piece, I realized how deep this manga is.
It's so wonderful.
And it's very easy for an outsider to just think it's a silly anime. Because it gives that appearance a lot of the time.
I mean, the artwork is another thing that a lot of people can't get past. Like, a lot of people that I've talked to about it, they know it's a funny adventure, action, you know, comedy with a little drama thrown in. They know the writing is great. But the artwork is just something they can't really get past. And I completely understand. Yeah. It's not like... It doesn't have the beauty and the solidity, yes, of, say, Attack on Titan, which is beautifully animated. Oh, it is absolutely gorgeous. You can see every drop of blood. Which is why I don't kind of particularly care for it. Now, I'm not someone who shies away from gore by any stretch of the imagination. I'm all for a bloody movie. But there's got to be a little levity in it. When I saw the first episode of Attack on Titan, that was the first thing I thought was, oh, this is beautifully animated. Look at that. That is gorgeous. And then I got to the end of the first episode, and I was like, I mean, it's downer. It's a straight-up downer. And I can't do that. There's got to be a little levity in my action and drama, all right? It can be dramatic, and it can be full of blood and gore and everything, but there's got to be somebody cracking a joke somewhere.
Okay, so, you mentioned your action scene. I've got one for you. Title cards. Those title images. What's your favorite?
So if you've read the manga, hopefully you have, at the beginning of each chapter, we've got a little... We've just got this little image that has to do with something else. So, I have to say, I do like the ones with Buggy. Like this one.
Yeah, so there's a whole arc of these all about Buggy missing his main body. If you remember from his fight with Luffy, all he has is feet, hands, and a head kind of stuck together. So he's a little chibi Buggy wandering around and having adventures, and it's really cute.
It is soups the cute. So, but which one is my favorite? Oh, I've gone beyond where we are.
Oh.
I've got 5.
Oh, you got.
Because I don't know. Like, I like Buggy's. His are very cute. He's on this island and he's trying to catch this little duck chicken thing because he wants to cook it up. And then the mom comes and, beats him up and chases him and is trying to catch him to eat him. So those are very cute. But I think my favorite is the one I pointed out to you.
With the
With the ox.
Oh, okay.
With the cart.
That is...
For the reasons that you said. Because I was showing it to you going, why? Why is it like this? Here, I know where it is.
Okay. Mine is for chapter 29. Okay. Page 50, okay.
Okay, I know where this one is. Because there's a color page for it.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know if you can see it very well. What we should do is scan it in and put it up there. But you've got Luffy, Nami, and Zoro, and they're in this, how well is that looking? It's okay?
Sure.
Okay. So they're in a cart, and they're on a farm or something. They've got different vegetables and stuff, and some of the vegetables have faces, which is strange.
It's One Piece.
It's One Piece.
And it's a One Piece title card to be specific.
And an ox is pulling them along, but there's somebody on top of the ox who's facing the opposite direction and looks kind of bored, and it might even be asleep. We don't know. But it's Shanks. And I know you're probably looking at me going, well, wait a minute, how do you know that it's Shanks? And I know that it's Shanks. Here we go. Here's the full thing. Actually get up and do this. Here's the full thing. And I know that it is Shanks because he's wearing the straw hat. You can see he's wearing the straw hat. And that's the shape of his hair. And it's also just, it's Shanks. I know it's Shanks. So I pointed it out to Paul and I was like, isn't that interesting? They've got Shanks there and he's facing the other way. And Paul made a comment saying how, well, it kind of makes sense because it's because of Shanks that these 3 individuals are going in the direction that they are. Because Luffy was inspired by Shanks, of course, and he's moving in a direction towards where Shanks is going. But we don't know where Shanks is right now. So that's why we can't see his face and why he looks bored or he's asleep or something. But I thought it was interesting to point that out. So I very much like the funny ones. I like this one that does make you think and makes you go, well, now wait a minute. Why would Oda-sensei set it up in this manner? Where Luffy is not interacting with Shanks or even really, acknowledging him. But instead is just sitting in the cart being pulled along. We don't know where. Because they're moving away from the farm in the image. So it's where are they going? What's it going to be like when they get there? All this stuff. So I really liked that title card.
Yeah.
All right, Love Dove. Which one is yours?
So, I'm not sure if this was the one I thought of when I first decided on the question.
Uh-oh.
And you may notice, if you watched our earlier episodes, we both had notebooks. And we took notes about the things we were going to talk about. And then we have not been doing that recently.
Well, I did for our last review, which was one of the myth books. But I didn't for this, mostly because I read most of it this morning.
Okay. I think this is the one that made me choose to ask this question.
Oh, is it the skiing one?
It's the skiing one.
Oh, I do like that one.
So, there aren't snowboards. Luffy's upside down with his whiteout hoodie.
Yeah.
And then we have Zoro in the background, sitting kind of cross-legged on a snowboard.
Looking like a grumpy pants.
Just being super serious.
Because he's Zoro, and he's a grumpy pants. Or maybe he's asleep, which is also a possibility. Because Zoro is either drinking, training, or asleep. And when I say drinking, I mean sake. I mean booze. He's drinking booze.
Though this is a pretty good one, too, the clouds.
Oh. I got the impression that maybe it was made of cotton candy, and that's why Luffy was eating it.
Oh, maybe. I don't know, I feel like it's clouds, and Luffy's trying to make cloud food, and Zoro's trying to drink cloud booze, and Nami's trying to sleep in cloud treasure. It's just a bunch of clouds.
It is a bunch of clouds.
Because it's silly.
Yeah, because it is silly. But yes.
And then there's one where it could have gone a little bit further. And
looks almost like Triple X Holic, doesn't it?
A little bit. So there's also this one, which is a more stylized, actual pretty opening. And we have Luffy with his staff in between his toes.
Luffy doesn't use his staff.
Doing a one-hand stand on Zoro's head.
Zoro's like...
Yeah. But the way he is...
Oh, I didn't notice. Nami's balanced on Zoro's
she is.
staff weapon. Oh, which might actually be more of a trident?
Yeah, they both are. 2 tridents. But I see Luffy like that with that trident. And I really want that to be... I really want Oda Sensei to basically do this, but as a journey to the west with Luffy being the Monkey King. Monkey D. Luffy.
Who's trying to be Pirate King.
I do not think that's what this image is going for. And if this image is going for something, it's beyond us Americans.
I think it's just something to draw, because Oda Sensei just likes to draw. He likes to doodle.
He does.
It says in the little question-answer things, which I love, I think it's adorable, that he loves to just doodle. Someone was asking, when did you first become a manga artist? Or when did you first decide to be a manga artist? And he said when he was 4 years old and he discovered that this was a job that you could have, he was like, that is what I'm going to do. That's where it's at. But only about the 8th grade did he actually start working on a style and looking for stuff like that. But style. Well, it is. Hey,
it is a style.
It is a distinctive style. You wouldn't look at an image if you're familiar with Oda Sensei's work. You wouldn't look at an image that is his work and not say totally. I mean, unless he is trying to do something different and challenge himself in a different way. But for most of it, he has a pretty distinctive style. It's easy. It's easy to figure out.
Okay, so let's talk about saying goodbye to the village. So, Usopp has 3 little kids.
They're not his.
Well, no.
He has
they're not
3
his.
friends.
He has 3 friends that are 2 years younger than he is. 2 or 3 years younger than he is.
No, they're 9. He's supposed to be 17. He says... In manga, he says, when we first started doing this 5 years ago, you guys were 4 years old. He says, I will find it. You keep talking.
Yeah, it's at the very end. Anyway, so he has 3 friends who are a bit younger than he is, so he created the Usopp pirate crew with them. And so at the end, he's saying goodbye to them, and throughout it we get to like the kids. They're not the best kids. We wouldn't want to read a whole story based around these kids. At least, well, actually that could kind of work. Because we do start to like them, and then they're very loyal to Usopp.
5 years ago when you were 4 years old.
Okay.
So they are 9.
And he's 17 now.
He's 17. Because he's the same age as Luffy.
Ow. So... they're also willing to put their all into things like Usopp is, and also willing to be cowards like he is.
They lead by example.
Yeah. But Usopp tells them to protect Kaya at one point in the battle, and because they want to stay and fight, even though they know they have no chance.
Yeah, they will get
killed. So they go and bring Kaya to the woods that they know very well, to hide her from the hypnotist.
And Zoro makes a comment about how, what quick thinking. Yeah. And that comes into it. Usopp is a very quick thinker.
Yeah.
Which is, when you have a captain like Luffy, that's sometimes it's very important to have someone who's really fast to think of different things. But so he was like, quick thinking. He gave them an honorable way to leave the fight.
Yeah.
And run.
Yeah, and protect them.
Yeah.
So... at the end, after the fight, Usopp has decided to leave the village. Mm-hmm. He wants to go and become a pirate like his father. He doesn't realize that Luffy and the gang are going to invite him to their crew. Because he's dumb. But, so he's saying goodbye, and you start to like the kids. You like their dynamic with Usopp. And you like Usopp's dynamic with the town. And you like Usopp's dynamic with Kaya. So there's a lot of sadness already going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then Usopp starts talking about, you know, backstory with him and the kids, the things they've done together. And, you know, it's kind of a...
It's the
little
timing.
Not morbid, but it's a bit sadder.
It's bittersweet.
It's slow, it's bittersweet. And then we get this bombshell dropped when Mary, Kaya's manservant, talks to her about why Usopp lies.
Yeah.
And it's because after Usopp's father left because the pirate flag was calling him, his mother got sick, and so he started saying that he would go to sea to find medicine for her. The best there's this best medicine can cure anything, blah, 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 trying to cheer her spirits up or whatnot. And then he starts lying about the pirates are here, because by pirates he means his father is back to take care of his mother. And of course his mother dies, which is where the tears start.
Right, but she's saying, don't tell these tall tales. I know he's not coming back. Just be a brave man. I'm proud of him. I'm happy I married him. She doesn't have any regrets.
Except she wishes she could see Usopp be a brave warrior of the sea.
Right.
Pirate. And so, yeah, Usopp started saying, the pirates are coming, the pirates are coming.
In the hopes that he would see his father's ship return.
And yeah, so we learn why all this time he was doing this calling Wolf. It's not because he was just some prankster. And you're like...
Yeah, it's just, it was his wish. He just wanted so badly. And so now he gets to join the Straw Hat Pirates.
Yeah.
So everybody has their own ambition. And of course, Usopp's is to become a great warrior of the sea.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna smile. But so it's a tearjerker. It is a tearjerker. But let me tell you something. You've not seen anything yet. Because we're gonna come to the next crewmate who's going to join. And his story will make you cry.
Yeah.
And then after that, then we get Nami's, and then you will cry your eyes out until they're just not in there anymore. It's just drowned in a sea of tears. And then that's it. If you're not hooked at that point, I'm sorry, you do not belong in this world. And not like this world. You don't belong in the One Piece world. You don't belong reading it. And that's fine.
Yeah,
but
different people
I've yet to meet anyone, because like a coworker of mine, she's heard of it, and I've suggested it to her. And the series is on Hulu. Now, I don't know. I asked her about the subtitles and what kind of subs they were, and she doesn't think it's for kids' entertainment, the first few seasons. So hopefully it's not. I think Toonami or somebody legally owns it now, and it's a partner ownership between the U.S. and Japan. Well, actually, I don't know if it's partnership between the U.S. and Japan, but there is...
Well, and
somebody who's translating them properly.
Yeah, a license or a company in America has license to air or translate and air One Piece in America. Is how it works. The legal portion of anime.
Right, and so I asked her. I said, it's a bit of a stretch because Nami's arc, it takes a while for you to get to.
It's like 30 episodes in.
It's a ways in, but if you. But, and it's funny enough, and there's enough tearjerk that I think that'll keep you interested. It's just when you get to Nami's, it locks you in. Mm-hmm. It really, really does. And she's already past that point, and she's like, oh my god, I cried. And I was like, how can you not cry? I mean, and we'll get there.
Yeah, and that's something I've been thinking of, because I've also had friends who I've tried to get into, but telling them, don't worry, just do 30 episodes.
Yeah, it's like...
Which is like 2 seasons worth of other things, like American shows. It's like, oh, don't worry, just 30 episodes in. That's all I want you to do. And I've been trying to think of like a beginning good episode, but I feel like to get the feel of the crew, the feel of everyone, you do kind of need to start at the beginning. It's just... It's hard. It's like, it's worth it. And if you're willing to put in the time to get past Nami's arc, then either you will know you hate it, or, well, know it's good, but not your style, or just be so hooked, and usually it's, you get hooked.
Usually it's hooked. I mean, I will say that, for me, here's what happened. When my roommate and I started watching it, we started watching it a few episodes in. And I think it was actually when we got to Syrup Island. So when we got to Usopp's arc and him joining the crew, I think that's when we actually started watching the Japanese versions. So I had never actually gone back and watched all of the episodes from the beginning. And I didn't really get the feel of it being difficult to get into. But that could just be because I knew where it was going.
Yeah. Well,
but I gotta stress that even in the beginning, and if you remember, we met Cody in the beginning. He was the first person that Luffy ever, hung out with and did a few things with, and then we got Zoro, and that was great. And Cody stayed on the island with the Marines. And let me just tell you, we'll come back to Cody. We will. And it's so good. Because that's what this whole series is about, is growing and changing and becoming a better person.
Yeah.
And not just...
And family.
And family. But, not just becoming a better fighter, but becoming... we'll get especially one in particular crewmate, but not just her. We'll get a couple of other ones who... They're already great fighters. But they still need a home.
Yeah. And
even though they think that with Luffy they haven't really found a home, they will realize that no. If he wants you on his crew, he's going to take care of you. He might be among the youngest members of the crew. As he's 17, Usopp is 17, but wait, we will get a character, a crewmate who will be even younger than they are. And I know you guys are like, really? We're going to get just wait. All I'm asking you to do is wait.
Yeah.
Because now, it's so good.
Now, the benefit of doing this, what we're doing right now, this live stream, and talking about it, I think there will be, if you've listened to us talk about One Piece, if you've listened to our episodes, I think you could start watching near the middle end of Sanji's...
He just gave away the name.
Introduction. And
Sanji's the next crew member.
And from there go forward. And then that's less episodes. You could probably get away with doing 10 episodes, knowing how much we love it and knowing the comedy and the drama that has already happened.
But I think it is worth watching Usopp's. I think it's worth watching Usopp's because you get to see certain aspects of each of the characters. Like Usopp, like Zoro, and even a bit of Nami. Mm-hmm. She's still selfish and she wants to go after the treasure and everything, but she still does want, when she realizes that everybody is essentially going to be out of danger and everything's going to be great because Zoro and Luffy are here and they're going to...
Oh, it's
behind the fourth book. And everything's going to be great. Then she goes back to saying, aha, well, treasure, blah, blah, blah. But I think it is worth watching to watch how Luffy deals with Captain Kuro and why he is pretty harsh with him. Because of the way he treats his crewmates. He's supposed to be the captain. He's supposed to be the one taking care of everybody. The father, if you will. He's supposed to be the one who's responsible for the well-being of everybody who is under him. And he's not. He's going to straight up kill all of them because they're inconvenient. And Luffy will not have any of that. He's a goof, and he will always look on the brighter side of things, and he will try to make everything a joke. But when one of his crewmates is in trouble, don't get on his bad side. And the best way to get on Luffy's bad side is to upset one of his crewmates. Or to hurt them. Or to do anything to him. For instance, and I will just say this. I will just say this about Nami's arc. There is a point in Nami's arc where Nami is crying. And Luffy gets pissed. Right the F off. And he goes straight to where it was. And he goes, you made my navigator cry. and now you will pay. Yeah. And it is so good! It is so good!
We will get that there in, I think, 2 more arcs.
It's so good.
But yeah, for you to remember, all of this about Nami being all about money, all about treasure, in the beginning hating pirates, yet being all about stealing treasure from pirates. You don't know what's really going on, but I direct your attention to this page.
Which page?
And we have Luffy up here saying, don't you care about your own crew, and being really upset by that, to Catherine's point. Mm-hmm. And then Nami down below with kind of a realization face.
Yes.
And so remember that for 2 more One Piece episodes from now. We will come back to that, and that's kind of Oda Sensei
giving his own kind of foreshadowing.
Yeah, doing a foreshadowing that will come up later.
It's great because, as you point out, it's not really subtle because it's a whole panel devoted to her reaction, but it's a great foreshadowing for why she would react in this way.
Yeah.
And then you see why, and you're just like, oh my god, you guys.
Yeah, he's also really good about dropping all these bombshells of, you have to go back and kind of rethink what you thought about everyone. You're like, oh,
yeah,
so that's what was going on. That's why,
that's why this, that, and the other.
That's why Luffy was upset about this particular thing before the particular time gap.
I'm gonna just twitch right here because I can't say nothing. I know what he's talking about, and I'm just sitting here going, Argh!
But Oda Sensei is also,
and then Oda Sensei is like, oh, but guess what?
Yeah, no, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, that. Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
It's like, as soon as you learn that, you're like, oh, all of this other stuff that we thought was the reasons, it's just kind of the icing on the cake. That's not the real reason at all. Yeah, so that happens all throughout, and it's really good because we get a lot of this foreshadowing to the point that there are points later in the series where we get a crew member that ties back to an old event that happens, and you're like, did he foreshadow 200 episodes? And you go back and look, and you're like, I'm not sure.
It's hard to tell.
He either was planning it and he didn't have the design yet, or maybe it was he just came up with it now. But you cannot tell when he's foreshadowing and when he just comes up with something and retcons, as it were.
Right. But even if he did, because we don't know what this person looked like before.
Right.
That's it. So you don't know. I mean, we know he's super tall, but that's all we got.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like,
it's like, have you been planning this whole time?
Was he there or was he not?
It's so good.
It's very
So, if you didn't notice, we like One Piece.
We like One Piece a lot.
It's not just because it's action. And really, it does have really good action in it because of that teamwork we talked about.
It does.
But it's not, I wouldn't really classify it as an action adventure, even though that's very clearly what it's classified as. Because it's so much deeper than that. It's like I would almost say it's more of a family comedy than an action adventure. It's kind of a mix of those two together in a really good way.
Yeah. What Oda Sensei is so good at is making you feel for the characters, making you super, super care about each of them. And he does that by doing this pattern of, here's our individual, here's Usopp. He's a bit of a goof. He's not a great fighter. He's cowardly. You know, he's a liar. But he's got a heart of gold. You know, he wants to keep his village safe. He wants, you know, even though he goes and tries to warn everybody and no one believes him, and he goes, well, I don't care. I'm going to keep this village safe. And it's going to be another lie. They will never know that this was going to happen. It'll be another tall tale that just happened to be true, but they will never know it. And then we get into the why. Why is he like this? What is it that made him like this? And it's, you just feel so much for the character. You get to know them, and then you get to know why. And the great thing is that really, like I said, we don't really know who raised Luffy, but we'll find out. And when we find out, it's just like...
Yeah, it's another one of those go back and rethink everything.
Rethink everything. You're sitting here going, oh my god.
But I would even say the bad guys. Like, this hypnotist here, you can see in a couple different paragraphs. He hypnotized himself here with the kids.
Yes.
But you get that. Even with Django. Okay, so Django's the hypnotist's name. Has a really interesting stylized look. And you're like, okay. What's going on with you, Mr.
Walks backward. He's moonwalking.
He's moonwalking, and he's doing that, and he's doing, and yeah, the Egyptian, and it's just so silly. And then he hypnotizes himself when he does a hypnotist trick, and just that in and of itself is adding a bit of interest. Like, okay, I'm willing to learn a little bit more, and then you do start learning more, and then like Buggy, you learn about Buggy. Well, we haven't learned about that yet.
We haven't?
No, we have. He did serve with Shanks.
We know that he and Shanks knew each other. Yeah.
On
a ship, like I said, on a ship.
But, so we know a little bit about Buggy's background. Like, at first he's just this clown.
Right, how he came to having eaten the devil fruit and all that.
And so when we first meet Buggy, last time we did this, or last arc, you know, he just seems like a cruel clown. That's hard to say. Cruel clown.
Which they all are, aren't they? Y'all have seen it. You know.
And you kind of hate him at first, as you're supposed to. He's villain. Then he gets a little backstory, and you're like, oh. And then he gets blown away, and then he has this little side adventure. And he basically has this whole life outside of the mainstream, and that really adds dimensionality to all the characters, because even this hypnotist, we don't know much about him right now, but we know what Oda Sensei has done with Buggy. We know what Oda Sensei has done with some of Buggy's crew, with Richie and all that, and like all these other things that are happening outside of the main story. It has dimensionality, and it's really easy to like everyone. Well, like the
you
character.
You hate them or you hate to love them.
Yeah. So even the characters that you do dislike, there's interest in it, and they're good characters.
You want to read. And again, that's just what's so great about his writing style and how he shows them off. But you guys, we are a little past the 1 hour mark here, which we told you we would be, because...
It's One Piece.
It's One Piece, and we love it so much.
And in general, in the past, what we used to do after work every once in a while, we would like go to an Olive Garden and just sit and talk about One Piece with each other all night long. And that's just what we do. So that's part of the reason this channel started, and why there is a manga
we can talk
on
about
this
this
book
for
club.
Hours. Let's talk to people about it for hours.
Yes. Okay, so
anyway,
post your progress on your crafts.
I got a couple of rows in, moving right along. I'm not sure, you guys. I bought this thread a really long time ago, so I'm sure I could probably buy more of it at some point. We'll see. Hopefully I will have it finished before next week. I hope, because it's the 2nd of December. Happy holidays, y'all. It's time to get going on this stuff.
Okay, and we do have some more viewers, so just to remind you, you can go on Twitter to #YarnItAll. Post your progress of how far you got in your craft. You can notice that I'm still working on this bookmark, and it looks like I haven't done anything. Actually, I've gotten about 5 rows. And the rows are getting smaller, so maybe by 2020.
Oh my god. No.
I have another project I really want to get to. This.
If I make him sit down and do it, he can probably finish it if he focuses on it in 15.
Yeah, I pretty much only work on it on this episode, whereas the next one I'll be working on outside the episode. I think
I should be working on something different by next week, and if I'm not, oh man. Yeah. That's bad news berries, you guys.
Yeah. The other problem is I'm outside raking or blowing leaves because it's autumn, and we already have 30 bags of leaves that have gone out, and our driveway is not yet done.
Just from our oak. We have a giant oak in the front yard, and it's just... We love it. I love it. It's a beautiful tree.
It's a beautiful oak. Well, we have that oak, we have another oak a little further on, and then our neighbor has an oak. So there's 3 oaks that...
And it goes
donate to our driveway. And they're huge. They're like 200 feet tall.
They're not that tall, but they're big because they're oak trees. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, you guys.
Yes.
If you want to watch some of the episodes we've done in the past, if you just want to focus on One Piece, I'm sure Paul has everything labeled. He's the computer person. Yes. I'm just here with the tea and knitting. Yeah. Our cat didn't make an appearance. I'm so sorry you guys didn't see Osiris.
Worst episode ever.
Well, he's asleep on the bed.
Osiris! Anyways, so, next episode...
Yes, next week.
We are talking about the 4th book in the Dresden Files series entitled Summer Night.
It's a pun. Get it? You will get it if you read the book. At least you should read the book if you're going to watch us, because spoilers all the time.
Yes.
So, yeah, this is where things are gonna... Well, things have already started getting interesting in the Dresden Files, of course, but...
What happened last episode of Dresden?
His girlfriend, Susan, got turned into... Well, she's not completely.
So this opens up the lore of the world a little bit further. Well, a lot further.
It's more Fae-based, this one, than vampire-based.
And we do... Yeah.
Yeah, it's more Fae-based.
So, read it. And then we will discuss that.
Discuss it next week.
Next week. So yes, I was in the middle of talking about how you can contribute. You can also go to Reddit r/SpinAYarnLive, where I post episode discussions, and then you can comment under that post to discuss with us directly about the episode. And then you can also go to r/YarnItAll, and that's for you all to interact with each other, share project tips, you know, just whatever you all want to interact with each other.
Maybe you hate One Piece. You absolutely despise his artistic style. In which case, you're a terrible person. But anyway.
No.
Thank you so much for joining us this week. We will see you guys next week. And get working on those projects, because, man, the holidays are right around the corner. Seriously.
Okay. And thanks for watching.
IT.